Every realtor has to be paying attention to what's your end game because otherwise you really are on that hamster wheel.
I'm not here to sell you a fantasy. I'm here to keep it real, deliver value, and show up with integrity every damn time.
Hey everybody, it's Kathy Byrnes here with Real Estate Riches, and today I'm with Ernest Smith, and I'm excited to talk to him because he's got a unique story here, and I think you're going to really enjoy it. So, hey buddy.
Hello, how are you?
Great. Realtor, contractor, flipper, you got a lot of titles. Tell us a little bit about who you are.
Well, I appreciate you being on the podcast, and I love the opportunity to be always to share. So yeah, so who am I? It's a very good question. I ask myself that every morning, I think. But so yes, so I started out doing the fix and flips back years ago. Fast forward, ended up getting my general contractor's license. Fast forward, ended up getting my realtor license. And so everything is just kind of around real estate. So all those tools were be able to help me throughout the process of doing fix and flips.
Mm-hmm.
So
That makes sense. And you're here in the Charlotte area?
I am, yeah.
I'm up
Yep.
at the lake, and
Yeah. Just
so
sold a
where?
house up at the lake.
Oh, you did? Did you flip
Yeah.
it, or did you just do a
Flip it.
regular? Oh, flip.
Nope, flip. Yeah.
Ooh, how interesting. My son has an opportunity for one right now. He's a fix and flipper. He is a contractor as well, but hasn't done any flips in this state. He moved here about
Okay.
11 years ago, but I wouldn't have thought that there was much opportunity up at the lake because everything's priced so high.
It is, but then again, it's kind of a matter of timing and just kind of
Mhm.
connections. And so we'll dive into that a little bit when we talk about it. But yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, so I love going on this path because I see that you're a networker, and that's a really big thing for you. It's huge for me. So tell
Yeah.
me your piece of that.
Well, like everybody always talks about your network equals your net worth, right? So it's
Yeah.
about who you're around, who helps lift you up, who helps guide you, coaches you, gets you to your next level. And to me, it was in the real estate side of things, if you will, it can get very lonely. And
Mm-hmm.
so even though you have a network, it's not necessarily the people that really are helping you get to the next level. It's
Right.
a matter of like, who's your next sale? So it's your sellers, it's your buyers. And those aren't always the people that are helping to get you to the next level. So
Mhm.
that was kind of where I was trying to seek out more of people that were of a higher number than me, multi millionaires. We're talking seven, eight, nine figures, even billionaires. So some of the networks I'm in, we have five or six billionaires that are in the one particular network.
Wow.
And when you're around people of that kind of caliber, it's
Whole different world.
yeah, it's amazing. I mean, like the information that they just kind of freely give out to you is just amazing. And one of the stories is kind of full cycle moment for me. We'll dive a little bit into as we go, but yeah.
I
So
love
networks are
that.
huge. So networks are huge. I started in Charlotte area. I've been in here since '97, and so we had some local meetups that were around. And even though they were good, they always felt like the speakers they brought in, they were always dangling that carrot.
Yeah.
Hey, come to the weekend boot camp. Hey, come to the weekend boot camp. And even though you got a little bit of nuggets, we didn't have the YouTube universities and all these avenues as we do now. And then, aside from that group, then I got into a lot of other groups locally and started my own groups and stuff like that locally as well. And or co-hosted, but either way we look at it, we went from essentially like five or six of us in a room to now we have like in a couple of them we got over 5,000 members, and
Wow.
even since COVID, it's gone even more because now we're more international. Before we used to do live events every week, and now it's like we do live events every week, but now it's wherever you have access to the internet. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. Oh man, I love that. So, I'm a big networker myself. I want to be the gal that you reach out to because Kathy's got a guy or a gal for every aspect. But like you said, I'm sure you're a believer in personal development. I just have that feel. Are you?
yeah.
Okay, good. Me too. In the 90s, I got sued and it was such a sucker punch, but it was the greatest gift ever because it
Hmm.
got me on a path of personal development, which has changed the whole trajectory of my life. So
Sure.
your view on things is so different. Instead of being the victim, man, what's the gift in that sucker punch, right? And how do you get in places where you can be around people who will level you up because that's their character, not because they have an agenda, right?
Right.
Yeah, I love that stuff. Oh, okay, we
Yeah,
get along really
absolutely.
well. I can tell. And I love this idea of how the let's say billionaires in the room sharing their gold purely because they've been there, they see where you are, they see your character because
Mhm.
they're not going to just give that to anyone. People share when they find that people will value what the nugget is that they're going to give.
Oh, absolutely. It's kind of it's the give or take, right? It's the added value, and obviously they're adding value, and to add value to a billionaire is extremely difficult. I mean, and so I think a lot of them they want to know that it's not lost on their words aren't lost on like just a blank. What's the best way to say it? They want to know that it's landing. They
Yeah.
want to understand that it's not just they're just saying the words just to say the words. There's a meaning behind it, and they can gather that by the conversation and the the realism in it and the questions you ask, and
Mhm.
so they're very big in that way. So
And honestly, if you think about it, if you're talented in a particular area, and someone, is hungry to learn that and you want to help them, that I think that's just who we are. You
yeah,
just want to help. It hurts us nothing. It actually makes us feel good to
hmm,
level somebody else up. I mean, I love it.
yeah,
My daughter's always saying to me, "Why do you give away so much stuff?" I go, "Because I love it.
yeah.
I love the feeling that I get."
Well, and that's the big part is when you help others achieve what they want to achieve, then ultimately, just out of default, you start achieving what you want to achieve. And
Yeah.
so they always have that sense of like just giving back, giving back. And it may be something that it may not be relevant today, but it's going to be relevant later down the road. And there's relationships that I've established years ago, didn't think anything of it. And then
Hmm.
like even 2 days ago, whatever, I had a guy that I reached out to a couple years ago that was like, "Hey, I had this situation, I had this guy come up and blah blah blah," and you're like, "You're the first one that popped in my mind," and I'm like, "I haven't talked to you in 2 years, or a year." But it's
Right?
good that you made that. At that time, I made that kind of an impact
Yeah.
where I still was front of mind in a lot of that. So
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So tell me how you got from whatever you were doing initially to where you decided I'm gonna flip a house.
it was kind of organic, really, because I moved from Ohio in '97. It was in '98 ish that we started. I had another friend of mine that we started a juice company up at Lake Norman,
Mm,
and we did that until 2003. But we also kind of added on like three other buildings and establishments after that or during that time frame.
mm-hmm,
And it was probably in 2002 or so that I
mm-hmm.
ended up buying my first property here. And actually, I got it through a foreclosure auction.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and because I was like, hey, I'm gonna challenge myself, learn a little bit about the foreclosure process, and do all that. So, yeah, I kind of won it. The first lender I had was Bank of Mom and Dad, and so
Okay.
they helped me out with that.
Nice.
And I think I had that property for maybe like 7, 8 months. So I was house hacking. This is before the terminology came commonplace, but house hacking. So I lived in this property while I was fixing it up, and it
Mm-hmm.
was really more of a lipstick type renovation to it.
Mm-hmm.
Change out the carpets, do new interior painting, do some upgrades to the kitchen, change out hardware, blah blah blah. And then yeah, I turned around and sold it, and I think I made like I don't know $28,000 off of that, in
Wow.
that time. And so I was like, hey, I'm on to something. Well,
Yeah.
then I also got taxed because I didn't know that part, right?
Yeah.
And then but I also had other businesses, with the write-offs and stuff. So you kind of learn as you go. So then
Yeah.
I started listening to some of the other investors that were in some of these subgroups, and they were like, hey, if you buy a house and you live in it for a year and a day, you get short term gains. And if you do it for 2 years and a day, you get capital gains free. And it's like if you do 5 houses, then by the time you get to your fifth or sixth house, you're paid for. It's cash, right? And I
Hmm.
was like, hey, that's great, because in the mindset you were working this W-2 job, and
Right.
so you had income coming in, so it was nice just to have like this extra income coming. And so that was kind of the mentality at first. But then you're only as good as your knowledge. So, there's a lot of times that I probably should have kept what I did and kept as a rental and build portfolios, but that's just not the knowledge I had at the time.
So did you ever do a duplex?
No. Well, I take that back. Yes to flip, but no to buy and hold.
Yeah.
So,
So, remember when I was telling you about that sucker punch? On that path of personal development, I was introduced to Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad,
yeah,
Poor Dad, which talked that whole game, that Monopoly game. So I bought that game. At the time,
I actually
that
have it right up here on this
oh my
shelf.
God, I do see it. It was $200 to buy that game
Hmm.
because it was brand new. Well, I bought it and I would play that with my son. He would beat me all the time. It really used to tick me off. But I never bought and sold houses that way. I've only lived in them just to live in them and get some equity there. It was never
Sure.
my dream, but I knew it right from that game that there was opportunity there. But
Yeah.
only because my mother was a realtor and she had rentals and she had five of them, one for each child if she died. So we all got a house, even though they were all different values. It's crazy thinking, sweet. But,
But yeah.
and I just saw the nightmare of having rentals. And I said, I'm never going down that path. I never wanted to be a realtor. And I ended up being one at 56. So, but you know what? I get it. And it is a good business. You can make a great living out of it.
Yeah.
But I do think you need to be unique. And that's one of the reasons I really wanted to have you on here because you're not your typical realtor. You weave it in to that, but there's lessons here because so many realtors do not have an end game. And you
Correct.
created a whole different lifestyle utilizing the license. It wasn't right off the bat that you got it. Tell us a little bit about that pathway.
So it's kind of funny. So as of like even 2 weeks ago, so there's always been this brainchild about, hey, realtors, and some of it is because I went and spoke at a panel at Keller Williams
Hmm.
maybe a month ago, and there's like 6 or 8 of us that were all fix and flippers. And so I'm looking out in the audience, and there's about 80 or 100 people there or whatever. And I was like, these are all agents. And so they're all chasing the same thing, the next transaction, the next transaction.
Yeah.
And they're really not building anything of their
Mm-mm.
own value. And this is something that we, myself and other friends of mine out of these networks had talked about. And so it was nice to see that the KW was actually taking a step forward and saying, hey, we want to be able to educate them, because there's so much of that out there. And that's
Hmm.
really kind of where things are at now. So I actually got connected with another guy that does a lot of like creative financing situations
Hmm.
and is very good. He's a realtor as well. And so he got tied in with this other new, I shouldn't say new, it's 2 years old ish, another branch of another agency, if you will. And I was like, hey, I like that. And they're open. They're not here in North Carolina. And
Mm.
so we started this conversation. So we're actually bringing this new brokerage into North Carolina. And
Wow.
ideally, what we're looking at is investors that have their licenses or agents that have their license that are wanting to have this lifestyle of creating it
Yeah.
for an investor side. And a lot of the big brokerages don't want you to do anything else other than the sales transaction,
Why
right?
would they? Hmm.
Yeah. And so they're not promoting those things. But
Hmm.
and that's why I feel like there is life after that. So to kind of get back to your
Yeah.
question, I kind of always had that end game in mind about, hey, these are just tools in order to kind of help along the way.
Hmm.
And the reason why it for me is my first one was like I got into heavier needs in construction. And so then those required me, because I'm doing them in LLCs, required me to go and get a general contractor involved.
Sure.
And through the connection, I met a guy that was a GC, and it turned out that he was busy. He allowed me to kind of, shouldn't say, but utilize his license because
Hmm.
I was actually not more qualified than him, but I was showing up on my jobs a lot more than he was
Mm,
and running the projects. So he's like, "Hey, I'll sure, you've shown yourself, you've shown you're capable. We'll do this." But even at that, I was still hit with a higher number of that. And I was like, hey, if he can do it, I can do it. I surely
right.
have the know how to do it. So I went and took the test.
Mm,
Got qualified, took the test, did all that. Later, I had realtors that I would work with say, hey, I have, I have this need. The need is I need you to put in offers for me. And yes, they're going to be lowball offers, and some of them are going to be this way, and some of them are going to be creative. But I just need you to be able to facilitate that because you're a realtor. And
oh,
I really felt like kind of the victim because I didn't feel like I really got the authority of that person to say, hey, I am the person for you. I'm going to go out and navigate these deals and make these opportunities happen. And I felt like this kept just getting dropped. And
mm.
I was like, you know what? You're human. I'm human. If you could do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
Didn't realize like this is going to be a much of a pain in the butt as it was, but because North Carolina is challenging,
Mm,
and obviously this. You have to go through the class, you have to pass the class test, and then once you pass the class test, then you get the letter saying, "Hey, you're okay to go take the state test," and then you
mhm.
take the state test and go on from there. The class you have two opportunities to pass the test, right? Well, I didn't. I missed the first
It's
one by
hard.
1 point,
Oh,
and the second time I missed it. No, the first I missed it by 3 points the first time, 1 point the second
mm,
time. And I just realized, I was like, I just didn't put forth the 100% effort in studying.
yeah.
So then I had to go punish myself and take the class all over again. Passed it on the first time, the next time, and then I passed the state test the first time.
Yeah.
It was a challenge, but I think some of that was just because it was a challenge. Like I kept persevering through it to get it. Do I use it for the same sense as like you do? No, but I do
Mhm.
use it for the investing purposes. So
Yeah. Well, and I just think it's a smart move. You'll see different investors and they'll hire realtors. And actually, I don't ever want to have an investor as a client because their criteria is often so low on what they're willing to pay on the house. We look at 20 of them. It's like, oh my gosh, just go away. You go find that agent that's so hungry that they're willing to kill themselves to find you that house. It was never worth it to me. I learned that early on because I did financial planning before I did real estate. So I knew how to figure out what's my net, what's my price point that I want to work, where's my target market. I figured out all those strategies as soon as I got into the business. That was my focus. And recently I've changed my whole focus. I'm on a whole different path now. I'm
okay.
older. I don't want to be doing selling houses. I want to do outgoing referrals. I want them with high net worth clients that are looking all over the world for their second or third or fourth home. And I'll connect them just like, you're the connector. I have
Yep.
connections all over the world. And it's not just the realtor, it's all the different pieces that go along with that. Every realtor has to make that decision. Where do you see your path? And today, it's a whole different platform out here. Here we
Yes.
just had that potential merger that's happening between Compass and a million companies anywhere and all the different pieces, and how that is going to affect a realtor's mindset of just like now they'll look like the big dog. Do I think that that's the smartest move? That's not my personal thing that I would go with. Um, but everybody has to make their own decision. And
Correct.
I, so I just think that in today's market, every realtor has to be paying attention to what's your end game because otherwise you really are on that hamster wheel. And
Absolutely.
I think if they go a path like you, they go a path of outgoing referrals, they go a path of just being unique, pick a niche that's different and be excellent at it, excel
Yeah.
at it. And I'll tell you, talk to me about how you're incorporating all this with AI.
AI. So AI is a learning and process. It's trial and error. It's finding some kids that are younger than me that understand it better than me in some regards. Some of it's just kind of replacing kind of a typical employee,
Hmm.
these $20 an hour kind of situations and replacing yourself to do these tasks. So like writing emails or coming up with creative, like your social media posts and different things for that. So right now it's utilizing in that side, but ultimately then we're getting into using it for like drip campaigns and kind of
Mhm.
that 7, 8 touches of people on the back end and just kind
The
of
workflow.
utilizing it in the system process just to kind of have that. And then once we do a certain nugget, then it goes into the CRM and says, hey, you got these leads and stuff. So we're
Yeah.
using those kind of along with some virtual assistants and stuff as well.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so kind of a mixture of it.
Yeah, me too. I've had multiple VAs through the years, and I even went and took a couple of classes like how to hire the VA that I'm looking for to narrow that down, which was very good. And I do hire them out of the Philippines on
Yep.
purpose and through a specific platform that's really good at giving me their information, being able to filter that through. But
Mhm.
also, so this last week, I decided that I really wanted to do a newsletter on LinkedIn and for the mission that I'm working. And
Okay.
what's cool about LinkedIn is I don't pay for it yet. It looks like I'm going to have to down the road here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they
Yet.
got me hooked into the newsletter, which they'll let you have five, and then now you got to pay. And I'm like, oh, okay. But I
So
wanted to test it to see how I could do. So I am a AI nut. So I've been doing it for 2.5 years and growing and growing and growing. Well, anyway, I said, I went on ChatGPT and I said, hey, I want to do this newsletter, but I want to know if it's going to be worth my time. Here's my focus. Here's my mission. Here's what I want. Here's the net result I want. So then it told me what it offered. It was telling
okay.
me all about what LinkedIn offered. Well, one thing that was really powerful was your very first newsletter goes out to every one of your followers. I have over 12,000. I thought, whew. And most of them are either high net worth individuals, which is my
Yep.
focus, or realtors, which is also my focus. And I'm thinking, wow, if I got one shot to get in front of 12,000 plus people and I get so many to sign up for my newsletter, well, obviously the newsletter is going to have to be great, but that first one's going to have to be incredible.
Yeah.
So so I probably spent 2 days figuring out back and forth with chat from the title of the newsletter that was going to be impactful, the description, the first hook, the paragraphs, the subject, the
Hmm.
call to action. Then after you do a newsletter, it needs a post, so a summary post of it. So I do this. I said I need all of that. I said I need it so strong, and so we went back and forth, back and forth. Finally, I felt very confident that I could do it, and I launched it. And within 24 hours, I had 500 people sign up, and I'm like, what? So that was
Fantastic.
exciting. And now I'm over
Yay.
700. I know. So
Yay.
and so once I did the newsletter, I said, well, obviously I'm going to have to stay on top of this, but I can only do five. Well, it turned out you needed to do another one immediately because the first one was an intro. So I did the first intro and then I did the second one, but I couldn't launch the intro until I knew exactly what the second one was going to be. So
Right.
that's why I think it took 2 days. But the point being, it doesn't always have to take 2 days, people. This was learning it.
Yes.
So then I said, okay, well, I'm going to need 8 posts that go along with the theme of it till I do the next month's newsletter. And I'll still
Right.
be doing other types of posts in there. I said, so we worked it back and forth. I said, I'm going to need you to create a prompt for me on the ideal picture of what each one of these posts should be as well. So it created the prompt. And then I went in and Dolly is part of ChatGPT's picture. It's all part of the
Mhm.
$20. It created incredible pictures. So I put this all on a spreadsheet for my VA. I said, here's the date of the post, here's the picture of the post, here's the post. And I forget what the last part was. I think the last part was check, make sure you did it so that I get them all done. And so she did them in a posting that was, I think it's called Buffer. So it's
Okay.
the whole month was done all at once. So now that's done for the month on that whole thing, which is great.
Yeah.
So today I went in and I said, I think I need to create a GPT. Do you know what I'm talking about? A GPT versus Chat GPT.
Yeah. Create your own.
Create my own, right.
Mhm.
So now, which would be that newsletter, the entire format of everything that we came up with. I want you
Sure.
to Now, I'll still probably have to go back and forth to a degree, but it's
Yeah,
going to have, it has the whole workflow. Now I had to talk it all into it.
sure.
And that one probably took me about an hour and a half to kind of create the GPT. But now I have the GPT and it's going to know the whole vision of the method. So
Yeah,
that's where the time savings is. And it'll be stellar. I mean, it was off the charts excited today to create the GPT.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats. Yeah, I had another friend of mine, very similar, because he was using the Chat GPT. He created his own. It was called like Vibe GPT or something. And it's really kind of to, if you go into it, it asks you like a list of maybe 15 questions or something like that. And it's really about how do you create your own personal brand? And then how do you become this unique, kind of stand off from everybody else that's in the space.
Yeah.
I kind of ended up doing it just for fun because there's kind of like a title and it's like, who are you and how are you differentiating yourself, but showing the authority in that space. So mine was, and it's kind of funny. So I got a little post-it note here for you. Says, I am the architect of opportunity.
Ooh.
I design transformation physically, professionally, and personally. I'm not here to sell you a fantasy. I'm here to keep it real, deliver value, and show up with integrity every damn time.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Don't you love that?
Absolutely. I was like, and even though I always felt like I already had kind of that thing, I'm like, just something like that is just like, well, okay, I like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So to your point with creating your own GPT, I think, and that's great. I applaud you for that because that's amazing that you took the newsletter and you're like, hey, I'm forward thinking this thing, and
Mm-hmm.
that's really what it's. Now when you get into the monetizing side of that's where it starts getting interesting because now if you charge like 99 cents for your newsletter and you're like, okay, well, let's think about it. I had 500 people that wanted my newsletter that at $1 each. Yeah, it's $500. But if it's every
Mm.
month they pay that, then that's $500 every month. So you made $6,000 that you
Yes.
wouldn't have made some other way. And if you're doing a newsletter once a month, right? Now, if you're doing it multiple times a month and you're charging per issue or per something, then there becomes a different number that goes behind that. So that's really kind of the thinking process that I'm going through on a lot of different stuff right now is like, how do we monetize this? So I'm doing more coaching, one-on-one coaching.
Mm-hmm.
And in the coaching side is very similar to that. Is like, how do I take what's in my brain
Mm-hmm.
and how do I help people apply it to what they're trying to do? Now, whether it's fix and flip or understanding the process of the fix and flip, like how to come up with their idea, the design, or what not to do, or how to go through that. And I think that's some of the things that we're going to probably talk about. And it's kind of the same thing as like, there's a lot of information out there, there's a lot of data, but a lot of it's not personalized. Like everybody's like,
Yeah.
what about me? What about me? And what about my current situation? What about this? And they want to know it specifically because they can't wean through all the information sometimes and to come up with their own the GPT, if you will.
Yes, I absolutely love that. And we're on the same path because I'm in the process of switching over my Go High Level to a different platform. It's still going to be Go High Level, but it's going to incorporate that whole monetization component to it, which I want to do the GPTs. I want to sell the GPTs
Sure.
because right now I teach a class the last Friday of every month for agents who want to learn about AI. And I usually give away a link to one of my GPTs.
See this book right here.
Yes,
So that's a brand new book
yes.
that's from JT Fox.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if you, not to cut you off on this, but this book, I just got it like a few days ago. So I've only broken open and kind of read a little bit out of it. But he wrote the book beside it, Business is War. And so this book, both of these turned to international #1 bestsellers because of his network, right? And because his
Hmm.
network is global. So, when you got that number of people behind you, obviously it's easier. But the business's war is really built off of the failures of business with partners and with just in business itself. And so there's a lot of great stories behind that. But because AI is where it's at and it's been around for years and there's newer platforms coming out and GPT, he started with the chat GPT and did his own GPT and then that created into his own platform and everything else. So this AI is a monster. So he has his own platform that's on this thing. You can go in and buy it, but he just came out with this book and so obviously we're talking about AI because it's big, it's there, it's something that's happening. So it's a must read on my list. But if you got it out there, make sure you grab it. I think it's $15 or something like that. So,
Yeah.
but
Ideally, he's got
again,
it in Audible so I can listen.
yeah,
Well, that's
indeed,
great. I love that, especially that he just started in GPTs because and we're going back to what realtors need to do to be thinking bigger. They just got to think bigger of how they're gonna. Well, first of all, just being a realtor, it's exhausting.
yeah,
And if you can bring other income streams in so that you're not having to do it 24/7, no family life, your kids don't even know you exist, or the kids are part of the business because you make them do all kinds of chores and stuff. You just need some peace. And even when you're a big producer, just because you're a big producer doesn't mean you necessarily have peace. You need other streams of income. I started at 56. I'm 75 right now. It's like, how long are we going to keep doing this, right? But for me, the AI charges me like crazy.
yeah.
So
Well, and that's the
that's
thing is like you can do AI from anywhere,
anywhere.
and if you create a GPT that works and
Hmm.
it's repeatable, and then you can turn around and apply it to a newsletter. You can apply it to all
Yes,
these other things, and so you have the opportunity to duplicate it. You've already understood how to create it. You can create a course on how to create your own GPT if you
that's the
wanted.
next. Yeah,
Yeah. So there's all those that kind of play into it for
I
sure.
know. And a lot of people have got these things out, but the truth is, the majority of realtors are not paying much attention to AI. The majority. The players are, and they're taking their business to another whole level. But, the bulk of realtors are barely using it for property descriptions, much less
Yeah.
anything else. And
Yeah.
that's really where they're missing the ball. They just got to do it. And when they do, when they dive in, that's why I do this class. And it's free. I do it the last Friday of every month. And tomorrow's, well, Friday this week. That one's going to be all on just some basics, but I want to get into GPTs. And I'm going to give them a board of directors GPT. So that one's exciting because I was in Spain, in Barcelona earlier this year, and one of the women that was up on stage was talking about AI, and she gets off. I knew her, and she says, "I just created a board of directors, and it's changing my business." I go, "What?" And so on the flight home, I created my own board of directors. It's got 11 different people in my board of directors. Some are living, some are dead. It's irrelevant. Their concepts are all out there, right? And
Mhm.
so I went into my board of directors on Monday and I was lamenting. I said, "Hey, just not accomplishing what I wanted to accomplish, and I'm feeling frazzled because I'm sure I have ADD." I said, "Here was my mission. I got a twin mission. Here's the goal. Here's what I'm doing, and here's what I wanted to accomplish this week." So Steve Jobs is one of my board of directors. So
Nice.
so Steve comes on and says, "Kath, you got too many balls in the air. Focus in on this one. Let's focus in on that and get that done." And I'm like, well, that was exciting because I did, and I focused in on that newsletter. I stopped everything cold and made such success out of that. And so I
Yeah.
love having this board of directors, and that's the one I'm going to give away on Friday. You can't just search it and find it on the GPTs, which many you can, and I do love those too. But I want to create an income stream from some of the GPTs I create.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's kind of the thing is that's the big key I think that everybody's missing out on, like you were saying, is that some people do it, some people don't. If you're not starting to get into AI, that's shame on you. But it's not even that because it's not necessarily there for you to have to switch and go into
Yeah.
AI and do everything AI, but you have to be able to be open to utilizing it and then helping streamline it. So I have a friend of mine, she started out kind of doing the fix and flip. They got into building new houses. They did really well and they built about maybe 70 of them a year. So they used it to help streamline it, but then they also created kind of like their own CRM system and all that stuff. And then the CRM system they used started off of the platform. So kind of like the Chat GPT to your own GPT, it started off with Salesforce and then used Salesforce platform and grew the Salesforce platform. Now they've incubated their own program, and this program, the CRM that they have is a monster. And so
Wow.
she's in the last give or take 5 years or so, whatever else, they're worth multi millions of dollars, and then even like Salesforce now is interested in potentially buying that company and stuff like that from them. So it's you never know what it can lead into, and it's a whether you're 30 just getting started, whether you're 75. I have a one of the ladies that's in my mastermind. This blew me away. She has, and I thought she was joking. She has 7,523 doors
Wow.
rentals. She's 75. We just went and celebrated her 75th birthday. She's got 7,523 doors. And I thought when she started throwing out the 700, and I thought she was getting like 700, no, 7,000. I was like,
Wow.
but
Wow.
if you go into that kind of level, and she's extremely humble, does everything, and I'm blessed to be a part of that mastermind as well. And again, it's because of the relationships. I knew two of the ladies that are in this mastermind there, and I met both the lady I'm talking about and another guy through like what they had was kind of teaching Tuesdays, and I would show up all the time on that and kind of give value to the room. And they're like, "Yeah, we'd love to have Ernie into the mastermind," and we got 15 people in there.
Wow.
And again, it's saying yes to some things, and it's just kind of putting yourself into different places and growing your network, and it's yeah, so it's exciting.
It is. Do you have anything that you would like to share that we haven't shared yet?
I mean, for me, I get into the social media. So like I was horrible at social media. I was very inconsistent in social media. So now if you want to find me on social media, it's pretty simple. It's Ernest Smith Official. And so you can go on ernestsmithofficial.com. You can go into all the social medias, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok even. And so each of those platforms obviously provide different audiences,
Mm-hmm.
and get your network. Don't be afraid. And like last November, I was like, hey, I'm going to challenge myself. I always kind of go by. I went and saw this speaker once, and he had written a dot I or a dot y on the board and left it up there for about three-quarters of the presentation. And it really came down to what it stood for was amaze yourself. So it's like do one thing different every week to challenge yourself and do all this other stuff. And so that was really kind of a key component for me is to always challenge myself. So AI during the real estate, get out of just doing the sales side of it and really focus into growing yourself personally because, if you're not doing sales and something happens and you fall ill, you're kind of stuck, right? So,
Really stuck. Wow. Well, I love
yeah,
that. Thank you so much.
indeed.
I
Thank
learned a
you.
lot, and I hope our guest did. Ernie, I hope to see you around Charlotte sometime, and I really appreciate you being on here.
Well, I thank you and I appreciate the time and definitely I want to come up and see you up in Lake Norman and tour around and stuff like that. So we'll make that happen.
All right, sounds wonderful. And we'll have everything about Ernie, so you'll be able to go right in the property description and see how to reach out to him. So he'll be easy to find. Thanks, Ernie.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Real Estate Riches with me, Kathy Byrnes. If you'd like to explore potential partnership with me at eXp Realty, then let's book a strategy call and see how it would look in your eyes. And if you're thinking, man, I'd like to have a conversation with Kathy Byrnes, maybe I'd like to be part of this EXP company and see what it's all about. That sounds good to me. Let's book a strategy call and let's have a talk. No pressure, but man, it's worth a conversation. The link's in the description.